President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is suggesting Mr. Trump might plead the Fifth to avoid testifying in Robert Mueller's probe. In a tweet this morning, the president once again referred to the investigation as a witch hunt. Angelica Alvarez has the latest from the White House.
President Trump tweeted this morning that what he calls the Russia witch hunt is rapidly losing credibility, adding there is no O as in obstruction. It's called fighting back. The tweet comes a day after the president's lawyer said on ABC's This Week that it would be a risk for the president to be questioned by special counsel Robert Mueller. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani was asked if he was confident that the president wouldn't invoke his Fifth Amendment rights if questioned in the Russia investigation.
Oh, how could I ever be confident of that? When I'm facing a situation with the president and all the other lawyers are, in which every lawyer in America thinks he'd be a fool to testify, I've got a client who wants to testify.
Giuliani also suggested that Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, may have paid hush money on behalf of Mr. Trump to other women, in addition to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
I would think if it was necessary, yes. Michael Cohen takes care of situations like this, then gets paid for them sometimes.
Giuliani insists the payment was an expenditure, not a campaign contribution. Still, his comments have legal experts concerned.
The approach last week of the Trump team plays into the hands of Mueller's tactic.
In another tweet this morning, the president accused Democrats of intending to drag out the investigation so that it wrongfully impacts the midterm elections. Angelica Alvarez, CBS News, the White House.
And for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman. Rikki, can you walk us through everything that's at stake here?
Well, what's at stake here is ultimate criminal liability for Michael Cohen and perhaps even for President Trump, if not the issue of impeachment. And why do I say that? Doesn't mean that it's going to come to pass. But what you're really dealing with are the ultimate consequences that not only Robert Mueller is looking at in terms of possible issues of collusion or obstruction of justice, but where he might fail. That is, they may not have the evidence. The Southern District of New York, which is clearly looking at the Stormy Daniels issue as one of the document issues that they subpoenaed, that it may be the Southern District of New York that creates more problems for Michael Cohen and the president than Washington.
Well, can the president really refuse a subpoena if it comes from the special counsel?
No. What happens is this. We know, going all the way back to the case of United States versus Richard Nixon, that Richard Nixon could not be above the law, and he was ordered to produce the tapes during the Watergate era. We also know that President Bill Clinton was subject to process in the sexual harassment suit brought by Paula Jones. Now, we have never been in this particular context, that is true, of a criminal investigation where a president may be subpoenaed. However, the president is not a king for 4 years. The president is not imperial. The founding fathers did not design it that way. He must obey the law. So what is the best thing to do? It's for his lawyers to work out with the Office of the Special Counsel a way, some way, for the president to be able to answer questions, whether they want them in writing or Robert Mueller wants them oral, but to do it in a much friendlier setting than a grand jury.
I like the way you put it, that the president is not a king for 4 years. I mean, Rudy Giuliani over the weekend, as we know, said several things about President Trump and seemed to imply that he was above his position as president made him above an indictment.
Well, it may be. There is certainly debate amongst constitutional scholars as to whether or not a president who is sitting could be indicted. But we do know that the constitutional remedy that has been put in place is impeachment. So either way, if you get a subpoena and you don't obey the subpoena, if it comes to that, then you are in contempt. And then a court has to work this out. Well, one would hope that some way, somehow, cooler minds will prevail, and that there will be some way to work this out, because otherwise we are really in for a lot of serious problems nationally.
Absolutely. And I want to get back to Rudy Giuliani. He also made some statements over the weekend about the Stormy Daniels case. He tried to clear some things up. but it seemed that he just succeeded in muddying the waters. Did he clarify anything to you from a legal perspective?
No, and in fact, it makes it worse. I have a great deal of respect for Rudy Giuliani. He was certainly the outgoing mayor of the city of New York in the era of September 11th. He was known around the country as America's mayor. He cleaned up the city of New York, brought down crime to unexpected and unanticipated lows. But what he is doing now serves his reputation and his legacy no good. What you have here is, in this desperate need, apparently with the president's approval and assent, he is trying to show that any money that was paid to Michael Cohen in reimbursement for Stormy Daniels was, in fact, a personal expenditure, and this was not any violation of the Federal Election Commission. So in that overwhelming need to show that they are clear of the FEC violation, what they have done is created an image that is far worse, both politically and perhaps even in terms of the law.
He even suggested that there may be other women out there who may have been paid off.
Well, this isn't my quote, but I will paraphrase Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer. When have we ever been told that a president or any famous person has set up a slush fund, that is his term, to pay off for extramarital affairs or for people who say that they've had extramarital relations? I mean, that is not something the president would like out there.
So given the timing of all of this, how important is it that there is a very clear timeline when it comes to the violation of the potential violation of campaign finance laws, or does it not matter?
It matters a great deal. Stormy Daniels had peddled the story back in 2011. It was rumored that she was trying to sell it again at a later point in time, but they had an awfully long time to be able to shut her down. The fact that she is shut down within days of the election and after the Access Hollywood tapes makes it look that it clearly was related to the election and not related to protecting his relationship with Melania Trump and his reputation, because otherwise he could have settled it years and years before.
Now, speaking of Stormy Daniels, what do you make of her appearance on Saturday Night Live over the weekend? As her lawyer, would you have recommended her to do that? Is she serving her case well?
Well, as her lawyer, of course, I would not have recommended her to do it. But it doesn't matter, because Michael Avenatti, I can't believe he recommended it, but
right.
He obviously did not stop her. At the same time, Michael Avenatti is very savvy in the law as well when it comes to Stormy Daniels. He says she's authentic. That is why we believe her. So her job in life is to be famous and be a celebrity and to make money. And so if this is how she chooses to do it, she's just being more authentic and therefore more credible. So I get it.
So it doesn't hurt her credibility, to your mind, in the court of public opinion?
Not to my mind. It may hurt it to other people's minds.
Well, it certainly was a very funny skit, I have to say, and it certainly didn't hurt Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live's, I think, one of its funniest moments in time. It did give the Republicans, though, in favor of Mr. Trump, a very good talking point, because now they refer to her as the woman who was on Saturday Night Live.
There you go. Rikki Klieman, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanya.